big no. Do not ever do that because you're just ruining everything underneath. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my YouTube channel, which is all about makeup and beauty. Now today I have something special in store for you because I'm going to be showing you how to fix your makeup mistakes. I'm not talking about the kind of mistakes you make unknowingly. I'm talking about the kind of mistakes you make when you're in a rush. We've all made them. I make them all the time when I'm in a rush. You know when you get mascara on the upper eyelid, or you've done your eyeliner wing and it's just gone a little bit too far, or maybe you've done your brows and they're just way too dark. Well, I'm going to show you how I fix my own mistakes. And I picked the top 5 that I know a lot of people make, including myself. Now, before we head into the video, if you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button so that you never miss any of my future videos. You can also catch me on Instagram, where you can watch my stories for daily beauty news, some product reviews, and also some unboxing. Now let's jump straight into the video. Okay, so I intentionally made all of the top 5 mistakes that I could think of on this side of my face. Now we're going to start with brows. This brow is a lot darker and sometimes that can happen. Honestly, it's happened to me before where I've just been a bit too heavy-handed with my brow product. So this one's too dark. We've got the mascara on the lid. How many of you guys have done this? It happens all the time. It happens to me still as well, where you're just applying your mascara, especially when you're in a rush, and that's it. It's just gone everywhere, whether it's on the top lid or on the under eye area. Then we've got the extended wing. This is when you just don't know when to stop and you just keep taking it all that way out, thinking it's getting thinner and thinner, when really it's just looking, well, wrong. And then we've got blush, way too much blush going on. I just look like a doll. It just doesn't look right. And then we've got the overlined lips. So this is way too big and way too dark as well. So, okay, let's go through it one by one. Now, the first one I'm gonna deal with is the brow, the overshaded brow. It's way too dark. And sometimes it can be really difficult to try and kind of lighten it up a little bit because it's just looking way too in your face. So this is how I lighten them when I have gone a little bit too heavy-handed. Now, I always make sure I have a really good concealer at hand, and my favorite concealer is the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. So what I'm using is just a small amount on the back of my hand, and you've got to have a really good brush. Honestly, all my students who have ever trained will know how much I have gone on about this. You need to keep loads of lip brushes in your kit. I always say this to them as makeup artists. If you're not a makeup artist, just keep a few extra lip brushes because they are amazing at correcting mistakes. Now, I'm going to use the Zoeva 329 Lip Definer. Now, let me just explain to you why lip brushes are so great at correcting makeup mistakes. Because basically the way the brush has been made is to work really well with cream products on a smaller area, smaller feature of your face. The bristles are all very compact, and the brush is made so that all the bristles actually stick together and it doesn't kind of spread. And if it's a really bad quality brush, then it will be spreading, you know. But usually on good quality brushes, the hairs will stay kind of compact, be stuck to each other, and it just flows really nicely on the lips. Now you want to get a few extra lip brushes because these are amazing at using with your concealer to correct mistakes. I literally use concealer to correct most of my mistakes. Now, okay, what I'm doing is I'm literally taking this brush and I'm kind of making sure that I've coated it really well with my concealer. Now what I do is I just take off the excess. So usually what I do is I get a tissue and I just kind of wipe the brush very lightly so there's only a little bit left on there. Now it's just a small amount left on there. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my mirror. You wanna make sure that you're looking close up into a mirror. Now I'm gonna get the tip of the brush. So I'm not using the flat part of the brush, I'm using the tip. You can see how I'm holding it. It's like going literally that way towards my brow. I'm pressing in. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm actually gonna do what I do with my eyebrow product, which is I replicate the hairs, and I'm doing the same with my concealer. So what I'm doing is making sure there's a decent amount of concealer on there, wiping off the excess, and then I'm gonna actually draw in hairs. And what that's doing is actually lightening your brows, and it's actually removing. Now you want to make sure once you've done that a few times, take it off on the back of your hand, because that product, you're going to see that black, that dark product coming off, and then coat it with the concealer again. And then we're going to go in and we're going to just replicate the hairs again. Keep going and you will slowly see that brow start to lighten up. I'm going to be honest, This isn't something I've learned from anyone. This is something I just came up with on my own, to be honest. So yeah, this is by me. So yeah, I just basically coat the brush and then I go in and do exactly what I do when I'm actually filling my brows. Now you can see already how much that has lightened. It's no longer a really dark brow. It's much lighter. Now, if you feel that it still isn't light enough, then what you want to do is go in with a little bit of powder. And you can use any loose setting powder, something that's translucent. I'm going to use the Laura Mercier translucent powder, and all I'm doing is just putting a very small amount onto my Real Technique setting brush, and I'm taking off the excess on the back of my hand, onto the back of my hand. And now I'm just going to go over with this powder, and that's going to further just lighten it up. And now you can see it's actually probably a little bit lighter than the other brow. But yeah, that is literally how I lighten darker brows. So if I've gone too much with my brow powder or brow gel, then I go in and basically do exactly the same thing, replicate those hairs, but with my concealer and my lip brush. Next up is the mascara on the eyelid. Honestly, the number of times I've done this when I'm in a rush, and I know there are so many of you who also do this. It is the most annoying thing ever. Now, the biggest thing that I notice with a lot of people, what they tend to do to correct it is they start trying to wipe it off straight away or use makeup remover. Big no, do not ever do that, because you're just ruining everything underneath. What you want to do is leave it. Just leave it. Let it sit there. Let it completely dry. Carry on with the rest of your makeup. And then when it is completely dry, you want to go back, but you want to go back with a spoolie brush. You can use any spoolie brush, and when I say spoolie brush, I mean that's a spoolie. Now what we're going to do is we are going to get hold of this brush, and we are just going to basically very lightly scrape over. I did that thing again where I stopped my sentence halfway. So we're gonna scrape over this mascara, and slowly you're gonna see that it disappears. And that is it. That's it. It's as easy as that. These hacks are gonna completely change your makeup game, by the way, so you're welcome. If you do that, don't stress out when it happens. Just relax, chill, just get on with the rest of your face and go back to that when it's completely dry, and then just scrape it off with a spoolie. It's honestly as easy as that. Next up is this horrendous thing here, which is just my wing is way too long, and it does happen. So we're gonna go back to my beloved concealer and my beloved lip brush, and I'm gonna put a small amount on the back of my hand. Now remember, the concealer that you use, make sure it's not too light. Make sure it is as close to your skin color as possible, and I'm sure most of you use a concealer which is more or less your skin color. If you can't find, if your concealer is a little bit lighter, because most people, including myself, prefer their concealer to be a little bit lighter. I just have a concealer on hand which is the same color as my skin. You can use foundation instead, so you can still use foundation, so don't worry about it, don't stress. So you want to get your lip brush, and you want to make sure you use the tip again, right? And what we're doing is we are going to just basically, how do I explain this? So we are cancelling out that extended length, the part of it that we don't want. So what we're doing, I'm kind of creating the actual wing that I want. So what I'm going to do is just cut this off here. There. Okay, so you can see we've created that little line there. So now we've got the actual right length, and now we can see what's disconnected there. That disconnected part is what we want to get rid of. Now, I've seen a lot of people say you need to get some makeup remover and get a cotton bud or a Q-tip, whatever you want to call it, and then use that. Honestly, for things like this, a Q-tip is way too big. So I'm going to get my lip brush. Again, another reason why you should have extra lip brushes hanging around, and I'm going to go into my makeup remover. I'm using the Clarins Instant Eye Makeup Remover, by the way. This is a really good eye makeup remover, and literally all I'm doing is kind of like putting that brush into the top section there, making sure there's not too much on. And now I'm going to basically lift off this dark liner, and you can see slowly it's lifting off. Now you also do have that slight kind of grayness there now, so we're going to correct that. We've got rid of that liner, you can see that's done, but I can still see there's a slight shadow there now. Now remember, when you're doing this, don't just sweep across. Go very, very small in your movements to try and like almost kind of go inwards so that you're not spreading it out anywhere. Now we're going to go back into our concealer, and this is where we're just going to go over that area and just like very lightly, just with a small amount of concealer, we're kind of like just blending that area so that it doesn't look so kind of cloudy. That is not a word that is right for what I'm trying to explain. For the area that is slightly dark. See, now that is much better. Now that's better. Okay, so that is more or less it. And if you want to, you can go over with a little bit of powder just to kind of like set that concealer that you've applied to kind of over that area that was a little bit dark. Okay, next up is this blush, which is just wrong. So we've gone a little bit OTT with that. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab a tissue. I know it's really basic, but honestly it works. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just fold this tissue a few times, and I'm just kind of like wrapping it around my fingers like this. So I've kind of folded it and then I've wrapped it. Now what I'm doing is I just want to lift off some of this product. Now there are other ways to correct this, which you can go over it with stuff, but I feel like then it becomes really cakey and it just looks really wrong. You want to make sure you lift off that extra product first. So all I'm doing is very lightly, just kind of like very lightly brushing over this bit. Honestly, I can't even begin to tell you how light I'm going, and you probably won't see a difference after I finish doing this, but it really does pick up product. Like, look at all that. It's picked up whatever excess blush that was there. So the next step really does depend on the texture of the product that you had on. So for example, if this was a cream blush, then and there was no powder on top, then I can kind of correct it with a little bit of foundation or concealer. Now, if it is a powder blush, then you don't really want to go over with foundation. You can go over with a bit of powder, but you also don't want it to look overly powdery. So you've got to be very careful with how you do it. Now, I'm getting a very small amount of my foundation, putting it on the back of my hand, and I'm basically going to get my sponge that I usually apply my foundation with, and I'm basically buffing it into the foundation. So buffing it into the foundation on the back of my hand, and now I'm going to start buffing it into my cheek. So I'm just going to make sure that I just kind of like very light. There's not a lot of product on this sponge, by the way. It's the smallest amount. Already, look at that. Amazing. It's already gone. Okay, that is more or less it. Now, lastly, we're going to sort out this overlined lip. Any guesses on what we're going to use? Yep, that's it. We're going to use the lip brush and the concealer again. So this time I'm coating the brush, as I always do, with the concealer, and now I'm going to shape my lips properly. Now, I've only got it on this side, so I'm going to start shaping them. I'm using the tip. There you go. That bottom bit is already done. Now wipe off the excess off of the brush. Coat it with concealer again. Make sure it's not too much concealer. It definitely shouldn't look like there's like, it shouldn't look like you're applying concealer. Then we're going to do the top lip. Okay, so now that we've shaped it, you can see that we've reduced the size of it, so that's one thing, but the lip liner is still quite dark. So we're now gonna go in over the lip liner and we're just gonna lighten it, and we're gonna drag. We've got the smallest amount of concealer on my brush, and I'm dragging it inwards. I'm gonna go in with the lipstick that I had on, which is the Anastasia lipstick in Hollywood. Just gonna get my lip brush, and I'm just gonna like basically reapply that to the inside of my lip, as close to the lip liner as possible. And there you go. Now, did you really think that I was gonna be able to make this horrendous side look like the other side and look like I haven't made any mistakes? Let me know in the comments below. So basically, yeah, it's as easy as that. Honestly, all it takes is just a little bit of patience and the right products and tools, which honestly, they're things that you should have within your kit anyway, and you probably do have. It's not anything like, you know, pro or anything. Anyone would probably have this within their kit. Most people would do anyway. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed watching me how I correct or fix my makeup mistakes. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and you've seen how easy it is to actually fix those mistakes. And you don't have to start your face from scratch. You can just sort those mistakes out there and then. Now, if you have any questions, please do let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so that you never miss any of my videos. Until the next video, take care and I'll see you soon.